I'm not trying to be deliberately harsh here. But this lady is a full-grown adult. She willingly, consciously decided, I want to climb this mountain with my boyfriend. Her boyfriend did not hold a gun to her head. And the boyfriend didn't say, with the gun held to her head, you have to climb this mountain with me. You're going to have to do something against your will. I'm going to drag you kicking and screaming up this mountain with a gun held to your head. That didn't happen, folks. Now, you see, that didn't happen. What happened was, we had this young lady, 33 years of age. She's a keen mountaineer. She likes to climb mountains at night. She willingly, consciously took the decision that I'm going to scale this mountain with my boyfriend. It was her own decision. She came to that conclusion herself. She thought that she had the skill, the fitness, and the ability to climb this mountain. Nobody forced her to do it. She decided to do it. And then she got into difficulty. Not the boyfriend, she got into difficulty. In other words, we weren't prepared for the worst case scenario. She was not prepared for the worst case scenario. This lady knew exactly the cost benefit of engaging in this activity. She knew fine well the contract that she was signing when she decided to go up this difficult, dangerous mountain in Austria. She knew fine well. She wasn't forced to go up here. She wasn't coerced into doing it. It's not as if she was some 8-year-old child who doesn't know shit about the world. She's a fully grown adult. And she's actually a keen mountaineer. She knew fine well the risks and rewards of doing this. And she went ahead anyway. Folks, let's not be idiots here. If we all have a functioning brain, we all understand that if we decide that we're going to climb a very high 12,000 foot mountain covered in snow that is renowned for being a difficult climb, that can be dangerous, and that can present uncontrollables like stormy, windy conditions, we all know, folks, unless we are a retard, we all know the risks associated with engaging in an activity like climbing up a mountain like this one in Austria. We all know the risks. We know that if we don't want to increase our probability of death, then you know what we should do? We shouldn't climb the mountain. We should climb an easier mountain that is more predictable, that has better weather, that has a better or more safer track record. But you see, our 33-year-old deceased lady now, she knew all this. And again, you have to be a retard not to know this. It goes without saying, folks, climbing up a fucking 12,000 foot mountain that has a global reputation for being one of the most difficult mountains to climb in Austria. We all know that things can go wrong. We all know the risks associated with the activity. You have to be an idiot or a retard not to understand that. We all know that whenever we climb or hike up a mountain this big and this difficult and this dangerous, we all know that conditions can change quickly. We all know that we can trip, we can fall, we can get injured. We have to account for worst case scenarios. We have to be prepared. Because things can of course go wrong. And we understand that. As adults, folks, we understand that. And so, our lady here, who has died, she knew fine well what the risks were of heading up this mountain. She also knew the rewards. Why do you think she was doing this, folks? It goes back to her episode with Alex Honnold, the rock climber. Why do you think she was climbing up this mountain? Status. She was looking to get up there, take a few pictures, go back down to solid land again and tell everybody what she's done, take the pictures, upload it to social media. That's probably a large part of her motivation. She's doing it for status reasons. It's the same with her boyfriend. Do you think she was just going to go up there and not take any pictures, not take any videos, not upload anything to social media? Do you think she was just going to go up there for the pure joy of mountain climbing? Of course she wasn't. She was going up there because she knew she was going to get content for social media. So she decided to embark on this very difficult climb. And she paid the ultimate price, her life. But my point here is, she knew the risk reward. She knew the cost benefit. She's a full-grown fucking adult, folks. 33 years of age. This isn't a child. So number one, it's not a child. And number two, nobody forced her to do this. The boyfriend, as far as we know, did not force her to do this. Her own mother said that she enjoyed climbing mountains at night. What could go wrong there? I mean, what could go wrong, folks? What could go wrong with climbing a 12,000-foot mountain at night? What could go wrong? You know, a 12,000-foot high mountain that has, snow on it and dangerous weather conditions and tricky terrain. What could go wrong there? I wonder what could go wrong. Yeah. Hypothermia, trip and fall, fatigue, injury, dangerous conditions, extreme wind, fall down some sort of a hole or misplace your footing, I mean, folks, there are so many things that can go wrong when you want to scale a 12,000-foot high mountain at night that is renowned for being difficult and dangerous. Holy fuck. So number one, she's not a child. She's a 33-year-old fully grown adult. And number two, nobody forced her to do this. Nobody pointed a gun at her head and made her go up this mountain against her will. She consciously and willingly decided to do this with her boyfriend. And what happened? She got into trouble. She got herself and her boyfriend into a pickle. And she lost her life. Fully grown adult who willingly decided to do this. And because we live in a very sort of bizarre world in many ways, of course, what's now happening? Oh, that's right. It's the boyfriend's fault. It's the man's fault. Holy fuck, folks. This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Now look, it is a tragedy. We have this young woman, 33 years of age, has left a whole bunch of life on the table. Of course it's a tragedy. But she's a fully grown adult and she willingly did this. And she knew fine well what the risks and rewards were of engaging in this activity. Unless you're a retard, you know what the risks are of ascending a 12,000-foot high mountain at night that's renowned for having dangerous conditions and tricky terrain. So she knew the risk and the reward. She knew the reward at the end of this. She would be able to elevate her status, basically. She would essentially acquire the admiration of people online and in the real world. Oh, you climbed this really difficult mountain in Austria. Ho ho, aren't you awesome? And then she uploads some videos and pictures to social media. She gets more followers, she gets more credibility, she enhances her reputation. All right, that's the reward. But the risk, or the cost, is losing your life. And we all know the risks of climbing up a big, high fucking mountain, folks. So yes, it is a tragedy because there's a lot of life left on the table. Nobody wanted this young woman to die, obviously. But for people to now turn around and say it's the boyfriend's fault. Oh, he's responsible because he's the more experienced mountain climbing person. Holy fuck. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. And he could face up to 3 years in prison. Ridiculous. The only reason that this young man should be held responsible is if he forced her to go up there. Or if he somehow, oh I don't know, handicapped her deliberately. When he went up there, he didn't do anything. He didn't attack her as far as we know. He didn't coerce her into going up there. No, she decided to do this of her own free will. And now he has to bear the responsibility for her death? My rear end. Now, do I have any sympathy for this man? Not really, because he put himself in these circumstances. So, again, I'm just commenting here from the perspective of how ridiculous this is. It's ridiculous that these Austrian prosecutors are trying to offload the blame onto this man, onto the boyfriend. Absolute nonsense. This woman was a fully grown adult, who made her own decision. She decided to do this. She likes to do this. This is her passion in life. And she fucked up. Now, folks, if I fuck up on this live stream, if I fumble my words, or I knock over the microphone, okay, I've technically fucked up. But you see, the cost to me doing that isn't very high. I just pick up the microphone again and put it onto the bench or onto the table. And if I fumble my words, well, I just start talking again and get back on track. The cost is low. Now, it just turns out when you do extremely risky behaviors, like climbing big, high, dangerous mountains, the cost is a lot higher when you make a mistake and when you fuck up. And she fucked up. She clearly was not in a state. She wasn't physically prepared for this. She got fatigued. She lost her bearings. She got exhausted. She became a liability to herself and to the boyfriend. And this idea that the boyfriend should have to bear responsibility for her death is absolute garbage. This is where the lesson here is, folks. Let me tell you the lesson because we talk about this frequently on the show. Self-accountability. Self-accountability. This 33-year-old woman, she decided to do this. She knew the risk-reward. She knew the cost-benefit of doing this. Only she knows truly how prepared she was. Judging by what has happened, she wasn't prepared enough. That's on her. Oh, but that's very harsh. That's very... Fuck you. Fuck you if you say that. It's not very harsh at all. If you're going to engage in an activity that's so risky, you need to be super prepared, number one, for the worst case scenario, and number two, you need to accept full responsibility, be fully accountable for your own actions. You're deciding to do this. You know the risk-reward. You know the cost-benefit. You know what could go wrong and what could go right if you pull this off. And so, this is a great example, folks, of watching in real time how people, in this case, Austrian prosecutors, are literally trying to absolve the woman of responsibility, trying to not make her accountable for what has happened. They are trying to blame the man. Now again, as I've said, he put himself in this set of circumstances. He decided to climb the mountain with his woman, who clearly wasn't prepared, who clearly didn't have it in her, to get up there and get back down again. So he has to bear responsibility for his own actions and decision making. he decided to climb this mountain with her. And so as a result, he's put himself in this pickle. So I'm not so much trying to defend him from his own actions and responsibilities. But what I will say is, to try and blame him for her dying is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Yes, the man, the boyfriend, has to bear responsibility for this entire circumstance, for this entire pickle, because he did decide to go up there with her. He could have decided, no, I'm not going up there with you. I'm going to go up myself, or I'm going to go up with some other person who's more capable than you. And he got himself into a pickle, because he may as well have ended up biting the dust as well up there. Because he's now in a circumstance where, well, what do? It's very difficult. Once an uncontrollable, like very stormy weather comes into the equation, he's now at risk himself. So he has to bear responsibility. He essentially got into an agreement with a liability. She was a liability. That's the long and short of it. As harsh as that sounds, she's a liability. She overestimated her own abilities, and she paid the price for it. But that's life, folks. That's life. We all know the risks of climbing a very high mountain. She decided to plow on, but she was a liability. And the boyfriend decided to get into business with a liability. And so he now has a shit show on his doorstep. And he has to bear responsibility for that. If he didn't want this pickle, he should never have went into business with a liability. I don't care if it's his girlfriend, his mother, whoever the fuck it is. You don't get into business with liabilities. And this girlfriend of his was a liability. She gets up near the peak, she gets all exhausted, and yeah, she can't make her way back down now. The conditions take a turn for the worst. And it's a mess. It's a mess. And he has to bear responsibility for getting into this situation with a liability. But he is not responsible. He's not responsible for her death. Not from my perspective. Not at all. Not at all. She has to bear the responsibility of this circumstance. She decided to go up there. She clearly was not capable, and she was not prepared. She hadn't factored in a worst case scenario. And she lost her life. Yes, it's a tragedy. Yes, it's sad. But remember, folks, I'm stripping the emotion away from this. I'm not going to go into some big emotional rant here about how a 33-year-old has left a whole bunch of life on the table and soppy city here. We're going to start, allowing the tears to stream down our cheeks. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to take the emotion out of the equation here and analyze this for what it is. The idea that these Austrian prosecutors are trying to offload responsibility to this man is absolute bollocks. Complete and utter bollocks. The woman who died, as harsh as this sounds, she is fully accountable, she is fully responsible for her own death.